These from other worksheets, so that's why it doesn't start with like number 1, then number 2. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do one from each section, and then let you guys do the rest on your own. I've got the notes that I was talking about doing today here if you guys want extra practice. But your quiz just looks just like this. I literally changed problems.
What, the review?
Okay, yeah, the review and the quiz look the same. Okay, so again, one more time, it's very difficult to learn if someone is talking around you or you're the one talking. So if you could stop while I'm going over this information, that would be great. I'm not going to be long. I literally am going to do 3 problems. Okay? All right. 5, 6, 7, and 8 is all about, are these the inverse of each other? So you're literally like, for number 5, this is f of n equals negative n plus 3, the quantity of n plus 3 cubed. And then does that equal gn equals 3 plus n to the third if I take the inverse? So what I'm literally going to do is I'm going to change it to y first of all. So I get y equals negative n plus 1 to the third. And then my next step is I'm going to switch where y and n are, and I'm going to solve for y, excuse me. So n equals negative, and you can change it to x too if it bothers you, y plus 1 to the third. Okay, so my first step for this is I need to divide by a negative. So I divide everything here by a negative, and I'm left with negative n equals y plus 1 to the third. And then I need to get rid of the third root. So I'm going to take the third root on both sides to get rid of that to the third power. Okay. And then I'm going to get n, negative n to the third root, equals y plus 1, and then I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So I'm going to get the third root of negative n minus 1, so these do not match, so you would say no for this. Okay, this right here has to match this. I'm going to ask you one more time to not talk while I'm talking, then I'm going to ask some people if they need to leave while I'm going on. Okay. So remember, you're just switching x and y or n and y and solving for y and seeing if they're a match or not. Okay? Now, let's go down. I will do any of these 3 you want, 4 you want. Do you want me to do 13, 14, 15, or 16?
13, 14, 15, that's it.
You can choose one.
We're going to do 14. No, 13. 13 was hard.
Okay, I would say 13 is probably the hardest. So that's the one I would like to do. Okay. So with these problems, I'll wait for you. So I asked a question, and apparently that was my mistake. You guys can't handle it.
Yes, we do.
So I would love it if you went back to being quiet so I could actually make it through the next 2 problems. That would be fabulous. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is switch this to y. Y equals 7x plus 18 over 2. What's my next step after this? Switch x and y. So I get x equals 7y plus 18 over 2. Okay, now I want to get y by itself. What is 2 doing to that? We want to multiply it because it is being divided, right? So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So now these cancel, and I'm left with 2x equals 7y plus 18. Now what do I do next?
Subtract.
Subtract what?
18.
Good. So I get 2x minus 18 equals 7y, and what do I do next?
No.
Yeah. Divide by what? 7. So I get y equals 2x minus 18 over 7 is my final answer. That's my inverse. Okay? So let's talk about each step that I did here. I literally changed g of x or f of x, whatever it is, to y. I switched the places of x and y. Then I got rid of, and we just have to think of like order of operations. We get rid of any exponents, parentheses, multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction, right?
Yep.
It's y equals 2x minus 18 over 7. That's my final answer. Okay, let's do one where we graph. Let's turn it over. Okay. So you're going to graph this original problem, and then you're going to graph the inverse. I recommend that we do number 19 because it has that third root in there, or that third to the third power. Okay. So one thing you can do is you can put it in your calculator. Right? You can graph this in your calculator. Okay? But you can also like pick points. Yeah, it'll give you the right answer. So let me show this. I feel like this is the easy way. You're in your calculator. Okay? I'm going to pick graphing. I'm going to hit tab if something doesn't show up to put it in there. I put negative 2x to the third plus 1. Oh, you guys can't see this at all. Hold on. There you go. It graphs for me, and you're like, but how do I graph that on my page? If you hit Control T, all the numbers come up, and you can just plot those points. Okay? The other way to do it is literally pick points to go in here. So I highly recommended picking some negative and some positive. So I might pick like negative 1. Negative 1 to the third power is 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, is positive 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay? What? Sorry. Okay. Jordan, shh. I plug in 0. 0 to the third power times negative 2 is just 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay? Now I'm going to plug in 1. 1 time to the third power times negative 2 is negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. And then I might like put in 2. 2 gives me negative 15. Okay, so I know it goes up really fast. So then I'm going to plot that. I'm going to go negative 1, positive 3. 0 is 1. 1 is negative 1. 2 is way down here. So I know it kind of goes like this because it goes up and down really good. Okay, when I find, yes?
Do we have to put the little dot things? Or
No.
do we can draw the line? You know?
It needs to be accurate enough I can tell, because this is why it's important when you do your inverse. Okay, so now you're going to have to do your inverse. So you have y equals, please stop talking while I'm talking. Y, yes?
Are you going to get the most points for doing the table?
I mean, you'll get equal points. I just have to be able to see that it's this graph. Y equals negative 2x to the third plus 1. We're going to switch x and y. Okay? Now what do I do next?
Now you
Subtract
subtract 1.
1. Shh. Focus, guys. Now I'm going to divide by negative 2, right? Okay, so I get x minus 1 over negative 2 equals y to the third. And then I've got to take the third root for the whole thing. Okay? So, it looks a little funky because it's the third root of x minus 1 over the third root of negative 2. And you're not supposed to have this third root on the bottom. So you multiply the top and bottom by this third root. Okay? And I wouldn't give you one this hard on your test tomorrow. But
Well, you wouldn't or you would?
I would not.
Thank you.
It gives you negative 2x plus 2 to the third root equals y. Okay? And so we plug this into our calculator. Or you can make a table for this one, where you go x and y. Shh. I'm not, guys, really, like, I don't know if you don't understand or if you really don't care, because you can't stop talking while I'm going over this. you have a quiz tomorrow. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put this in my calculator. Where I'm going to put the third root of negative 2x plus 2. Okay. If you hit Control T, again, it comes up with a table. You could also just find the table. So I have x and y's. Remember, you want some negative, some positive. At negative 1, I have approximately like 1.58. At 0, I have 1.259. At 1, I have 0. And at 2, I have negative 1.2599. So that means when I'm graphing this, at negative 1, I'm halfway to 2. At 0, I'm 1.25, so I'm closer to 1. At 1, I'm at 0, and at 2, I'm at negative 1.25. So it looks like I'm going like this. Okay? So that is the harder one. I gave you the easier one for homework. And again, I wouldn't give you one that hard for your quiz. But that's the point of doing it. You've got to, find the table or plug in those numbers into your calculator to be able to find the graph. And then you've got to find the inverse and then graph that one. Okay? And we've had some practice with all of these in your homework if you've actually done it. Okay? So the rest of this is your homework for tonight. You get the rest of the hour to work on it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.